One day we're gonna look back on this and cry. That was so funny. I was like, I don't see anything. Interesting. I wonder why this is happening this way. It's my first day. I have so much anxiety about this. Wait, what? 20 seconds. Hopefully it sounds okay live. All right. We are live and we are in time. I am so happy about this. Welcome everybody to Sidequests and Skill Trees, where healing meets gameplay. So like in every RPG, wow. Like every RPG, the main quest matters, but the side quests are where you gather what you didn't know you needed. So insight, allies, resources, reps. Here, side quests are the optional tasks you choose in real life. So small missions that build momentum without burning you out. And skill trees are the essential skills you level up on purpose. So emotional regulation, communication, boundaries, rest, courage, and self-trust. So your life actually plays better. So like we always say, our motto is optional task, essential skills. So let's level up. Today I got with me King Kai. Say a shout out to him, man.
Hello. How's it going?
I make sure you turn your mic up because I know I'm yelling a lot. So you might have to. It might.
Oh,
This might be a William
all
thing.
right. I'll turn. All right, I'm turning up the mic. We'll see if
All
that's
right.
better. People in the
So
chat can let me know if I need to turn it up anymore.
all right. Yeah, the chat will let you know. And so today we're gonna talk about the saga of anxiety. The anxiety saga. There's so much communication and knowledge about anxiety, but we don't really talk about what anxiety is really doing to us. So we're gonna really explain it very briefly for like 20 minutes. And then we're gonna let you handle your own side quest. So the game of the day, real quick. What are we choosing, Kyle?
We are playing some Rocket League.
Ah, one of my favorites. My favorites. I love Rocket League. So I'm excited
Me
to play
too.
this for a little bit. I'm excited to talk about some anxiety and I'm also excited to give some new awareness about this. Is there anything I missed on that, Kyle?
I don't think so. It sounds like we're in a pretty good spot. We can jump in and have some fun.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it. You'll be the party leader, so then I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about things.
Yep. No worries.
Let's
I
start
can.
casual
I've got us ready. Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing that,
because
and
I
then doing
gotta warm up
doubles.
a little bit.
All right. Sounds good.
Oh yeah, our car's looking
You
clean.
ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right. Searching.
This is nice. I forgot how much I. So this car I designed is actually it's pretty nice. I didn't forgot I did such good work with these cars. This car work. It's like William,
All right.
it's
Where
you.
are you at? Where are you at? You're there. Okay. So you're
All
going
right,
for the ball then.
I'm going for it. Yeah, I'll go for it. So when it comes to anxiety, how do you define it?
So I feel like there's a couple of different criteria to kind of consider, but the big thing is really going to be around, and I should probably also preface this that I myself am diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder
Mm-hmm.
as well as panic disorder. So I kind of have a personal experience with this. But for me, it's mostly a lot of kind of feelings of fear, fight or flight responses, specifically in very specific kind of situations, and not just like normal anxiety, but like so much so that what it reduces your ability to function on a day-to-day basis. And that's kind of like that's obviously the clinical criteria for a lot of things, but
Mm-hmm.
being able
Nice.
to thanks being able to kind of have that distinction of the anxiety itself is causing
Mm-hmm.
disruption in your daily life, in your ability to function on a daily basis. All right, I'll go this time.
And for me, I would say anxiety is a physical, emotional, and mental loop. That's an amalgam. Sorry, that was my bad. It's an amalgam of um, nervousness, uncertainty, conditioning, impulse. Um, there's so much. When someone says they have anxiety, it lets me know that there's an array of different emotions that have been unresolved or conditioned that has affected their belief system that may have even challenged the way that they even see themselves. Um, and a lot of people with anxiety disorder really do struggle with the thought that um, like who do I become after I am exposed to this, right? That's a real thing. Um, and I want to break down the simplicity of it first and then build to a more complex understanding of it, if that's okay. Wow, I just gave that to them. Oh, ah. So, you know how when people are like, well, I have depression. Well, before you say depression, I'd like to understand, well, do you know what it's like to feel sad? How do you know when you're sad? What do you do when you're sad? What do you do when you're angry? What do you do when you're, you know, and a lot of times we use this word that's a clinical word, but sometimes it messes up how we understand our own general emotions. And so I hate to say it, but sometimes people don't know how to be sad enough or don't know how to be mad enough about things. So they feel unresolved and it causes unresolved emotions and it comes out psychosomatically sometimes where they can feel it in their body or they can feel it in like a panic attack, right? So I
Right.
think it's really important where we just have to really focus on what is that we need to know that we're feeling this way. And so how do you kind of describe or acknowledge that, hey, this might be anxiety? What type of feelings do you kind of anchor on?
So, for for me, kind of, when I'm thinking about like the anxiety itself, and oh, hang on,
You got oh
no,
god! Thank God this is a warm up match because I would be crying right now. I'm just getting my hands
uh,
together.
sorry, my ADHD kicked in. What was the question again?
Yeah. So what are some actual like symptoms or emotions that you would connect to people before we get to anxiety?
Right. Okay. Yes. So a lot of that, I feel like one of the big things is, and we kind of, so obviously we record a kind of sister episode that kind of goes with our streams, and
Yeah.
the thing that I think we talked about a lot was kind of, oh, it was kind
Oh
of
my
talking about
god.
the fight or flight response. So a big symptom is kind of those symptoms that come along with, woo, there we
Let's
go,
go. We're gonna win this, by the way.
with
Okay.
kind of this idea of of the fight or flight response. So for people who
Mhm.
are unaware, the fight or flight response is kind of the body's fear response. So
Mhm.
what it does is it is able to tell you when you are in danger, and then it starts specific processes in your body to kind of help you escape that danger, whether it be fighting, whether it be fleeing, or more recently, they've also talked about how it kind of you can freeze up as well, or you can fawn. But the same idea, it's the same across the board in terms of what is biologically happening. So you
Mhm.
are, you might notice your heart rate go up. You might notice this sense of impending fear and doom. There's the increase in adrenaline. You might notice that you get really tense, sweaty, racing thoughts, all of these different things.
Mhm.
And so these are a lot of kind of indicators, primary indicators of being in a state of anxiety.
Mm.
And then kind of, that's very much the basics. And then the rest of it is kind of more tied to what is causing those specific feelings.
Mhm.
This is a hard game to play and talk about different things at the same time.
Right. So I think that for me there's a connection between anxiety and uncertainty. A lot of times
Hmm.
anxiety gives the story of what if, and there's a lot of unresolved thoughts, or there's a lot of old beliefs that make you feel like you may not be able to control it. So you have to overperform, or you have to be more on top of things, or you have to be more strategic rather than actually just confronting the situation. A lot of times anxiety over predicts what might be happening, right? Or it
Hmm.
might overestimate things because there's not enough information or content. So for me, when I work with clients that have anxiety, I always want to make sure I'm very reassuring and I'm very clear,
Hmm.
right? I'm not going to say, well, go online and look it up. I'll say, no, go, on Tuesday, I want you to try to find 3 hours in your day, and I want you to look up these three things and bring it back to me when you can, right? like I'm very direct and I'm very like, hey, this is the thing. Because sometimes when you give too much openness, what happens is you end up overwhelming what's the expectation is, because a lot of times the expectation feels more threatening than the actual act itself. Um,
Right.
so I really try to be very clear when I'm with clients with anxiety.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that also kind of, talks a little bit about like the something that we kind of talk about with anxiety, which is called like amygdala hijacking. So,
Mm,
this idea that the amygdala is the part of the brain that is the fear response, and it will, especially in people with anxiety, if it's strong enough, it's a muscle, and so anything like
Mm-hmm.
any muscle, if it's been trained specific ways, it is going to be really strong. And so, we work on trying to find coping skills to kind of reduce the impact that the amygdala has. But essentially, it takes over the entire brain, and it's able to kind of call the shots
Mm-hmm.
when that happens. So, and again, that's what causes the fear response, the fight or flight response, and you know, a lot of working in therapy with anxiety is how do we kind of counterbalance the amygdala's power.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's and I hate to say this, but we really don't take the time out to um we don't take the time out to really honor what our body goes through in anxiety. We just think, oh, I have a lot of racing thoughts. Like, that's not just racing thoughts. Like, your brain is trying to figure out how to survive, right? Like, your brain
Right.
is literally trying to figure out how can I give myself the best chance to exist. And so,
Right.
I want to talk about the power of safety and feeling safe around other people. Um, I don't think we ever talk about this, but people always say, "Oh, this is a safe space. You can be what you need to be here." I'm like, you can't determine that. Like, you cannot determine this is going to be a safe space for me, because I've also been in
Mm-hmm.
spaces where being safe should have been already expected, because I was around family, I was around friends, I was in a space where we were all working together, and I wasn't treated fairly, right? And so
Right.
it's really important to understand that safety is one of the biggest things I try to teach my clients is, like, yeah, I can work on interventions and decreasing symptoms and expressions, but good job. But it's one of those things where I need I need you to know what it does it mean for you to feel safe. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that should be one of the first side quests, is learning what is it that actually feels safe to you in your life. Who feels safe to you, right? That should be one of the
Right.
first. Ooh, nice.
Thank you.
Nice, nice, nice. Ah,
Ah,
that was
so I
close.
was
That was
trying to.
close. I think one of the well, let me ask you,
Ah,
when was one of the last places you felt safe and you were like, did you notice you were safe, or did you have to like create the safety, or was it just assumed? Like how do you like create the safety, or have you? I mean, I don't know. Curious.
yeah. Yeah, and I think, obviously we try to make our environment as safe as we can for clients, but I think you make a really good point of we don't know for certain that that's going to be the case, but I did want to kind of go back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
talking a little bit more about kind of this, when you are feeling these feelings of anxiety and everything, like, what can you do, and what kind of skills can we, teach people to help them in those moments. No. Okay. And one of the things that I always like to kind of start with, kind of the basics,
Mm-hmm.
is two things. And breathing exercises, whether it be, oh god,
Oh, that was so close.
whether it be like, you know, the one that I usually like to utilize is box breathing. That's usually the one that I like to tell people about. But whatever works for you. If it's a breathing exercise that helps you, then that's great. Box breathing is kind of this idea of when you're in that amygdala hijack, you're in that moment of anxiety, and your heart rate is increased. What you
Mm-hmm.
got to do is try to get the heart rate back down, and that will
Right.
also, that will in turn kind of reduce the effects of the amygdala, and yeah, and make it so that it's not as powerful. And so breathing exercises tend to help reduce the heart rate, which in turn will reduce the effect the amygdala is having. So with box breathing, it's what I usually tell people is the amount of time is based on the person, but generally you want to breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold
Mm-hmm.
that for 4 seconds, breathe out through your mouth for 4 seconds, and hold it for 4 seconds, and then repeat. And that is kind of the box breathing in a nutshell. So the other skill that I usually like to teach in correspondence with box breathing is what's called the stop skill. And so the stop skill very much starts with it's an acronym. S literally stands for stop. So anytime you're starting to notice the anxiety, stopping what you're doing. And then O stands for observe. And when we talk about observing, we talk about both internal and external observation. So if you are feeling anxious, what are you feeling in your body? Are you feeling the heart rate raise? Are you feeling the tension? Are you feeling the vision, you know, blurring, or vision getting kind of tunnel vision? Are you what are you noticing? But also, what are you noticing externally? So what are the things that might be causing some anxiety for you? What are you noticing that might be you know the catalyst?
Yeah.
And then finally, the P stands for proceeding mindfully. So basically, it's just are we facing the same guys again?
Unfortunately, but this time we're gonna win because now I'm warmed up.
We're okay.
I'm gonna give my
They're
best Vegeta.
flyers. They're flyers. I'm not a flyer in this game. I can't do
I'm a
that.
flyer, but I didn't think I was gonna have to think like a flyer today. Normally I play threes. I usually don't play twos, so it's a different pace. But it's okay.
But but yeah, no. One of the things that we kind of forget is that sometimes, like, you know being observational of your own internal reactions can be the first step towards you know uh, being able to do something about it. We talk about kind of I made the joke before, but like this idea of like GI Joe, knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's 100% true. The first thing that you can do is kind of be aware of what's going on. So
Wow. I'm glad you said that because I hate to say it, but I think a lot of times when people do recognize what's going on with them, they're actually afraid or have shame around
mhm,
they're actually experiencing this moment, and it's like
mhm,
I can't believe I'm acting like this. I can't stop myself because I'm too embarrassed to say I'm wrong, so I just got to keep going through it. So then now they just feel like they're out of control because they feel powerless to the moment itself, and there's a lot of embarrassment to feeling like worried all the time. There is, and because that it's not socially normal, right, and accepted, but you also don't know how to socially regulate in front of people, right? Like you never seen somebody cry and say, "Hey, you gotta socially regulate right now. You're crying." Like no one says
mhm.
that. Like that's
Right.
you just awkwardly watch people cry, and they're like, "Oh, don't look at me. I'm ugly when I cry." It's like it's not about you being ugly. It's the fact that you've never been accepted and seen for that moment and being accepted and being consoled. Like you're not used to taking up that much attention. Like that's real.
Mhm.
Like that's a real thing. Should we exit this game and do a competitive mode? And I feel like we should do threes. I feel like we should do threes instead.
I
Just like,
am so rusty at this. Like, no.
oh my god, I used to be able to fly a ball around the entire map and now I'm like, ball, chase, ball, good, score, positive reward. So this will be our last game because this is terrible, and I hate to show how bad my skills are. And I used to be like an actual platinum, supersonic, like this terrible. So
Yeah, like I'm literally wearing like the season 1 silver crown because at that time I did very well. Oh my god.
that's
And
so
now it's just
crazy,
like this game has evolved to something that I do not recognize anymore.
right?
So for someone who is experiencing symptoms of anxiety and they're
Uh huh.
starting to kind of feel like they're recognizing that it's hindering their ability to function, what would be your advice aside from, obviously reach out and with services and stuff like that, but what else do you feel like are kind of some starter things that they can, begin to think about or do to maybe help resolve some of it, or at least improve some of it?
Actually, improve anxiety symptoms.
Yeah, aside from obviously getting therapy services.
Yeah. If you're someone that has not been diagnosed with anxiety, but you believe that you are experiencing anxiety, I would first teach them. I would suggest and maybe even journal this, but they should talk about um, what they should focus on fear. That's a normal emotion and thought and process that yeah. So yeah, we're gonna do this again, but like we have to play this game again, but with a vengeance. So this is a terrible round of Rocket League. Um, I feel like the Browns right now. So this is my thing. I want them to understand what fear is. A lot of people that have anxiety have unresolved fear, or they have fear that they've
Hmm.
never addressed, or they are dealing with the fear of consequence or shame that would occur if authenticity was in their path. Oh, come on. Just wanted one. Just wanted one. So yeah, I
All
would
right, at
just
least got
fear
it out of
first.
the past.
The second thing is I'm because I'm a music person. Um, this is one of my secrets, and I'll give this out because we have such awesome viewers watching. Um, I would do an audio recording. So I would address what you're having trouble with, what you may have anxiety about, or describe your anxiety in an audio. Record it maybe on your phone, something that you can record and delete, so you can have it like your own like audio journal, right? And then once you listen
Hmm.
to it, take a step away, go get some water or some nice Cheez-Its and snacks, um, and then come back and listen to yourself and listen to how you sound, listen to how you think, listen to how you're processing your feelings, listen to what you're asking for yourself. What are you asking for
Hmm.
yourself, right? And start learning that principle 2 of the reset modality: any unmet need results in irrational behavior. So there are things that you need to feel complete, and you have to name those things. If you can't name those things, it's going to be hard to change what you're dealing with. And so what I find is that if you cannot recreate new experiences in your life, you are doomed to repeat the limitations of what you've been exposed to. So
Hmm.
I think that would be I think that would be the way to go about it. Yeah, yeah. So I want to pause right there. I think that's some pretty good skill sets. Um, my ego has
The
hit an all-time
anxiety
low.
skill sets, not the Rocket League skill sets. That's
Right, rocking skills. I have to do it outside of the stream. I'm going back to the grind because never again will I let people watch me do this. Because this is not. I am way better than this. So I feel like that would be my thing. The fear, the audio journal, and then writing out the answer to hearing yourself. Sometimes we don't listen to ourselves enough, and that is a real thing. That is a real thing.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely echo that too. I mean, I feel like we kind of both touched on that of like this idea of, you know, you're touching on listening to yourself through like these ways, and I'm talking about listening to yourself like, you know, kind of by observing your body and observing the things around you, listening to you know, what you are experiencing. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, King Kai, I appreciate you so much for not only stepping in and losing with me, um, but I also appreciate you giving some just awareness about how anxiety is trying to keep you alive, but it doesn't know how safety and regulation should work for you in real time. So I hope that this is a good intro into anxiety. And when we post our sister recording, I hope it'll give them exactly all the school tools and skills they'll need to. So
Absolutely. Yep. So be on the lookout for that to release sometime in the later in the month, and be sure to come back next month for this next stream.
awesome. All right, y'all. Be kind to yourself and heal always. And remember to level up.